Let's go Knicks. Streets are buzzing as the Knicks rack up the 50th dub on the season. Back-to-back 50-win seasons. Stand up. The New York Knicks beat Phoenix Suns back at MSG 112-98 in a free-flowing game where Jalen Brunson returned. There was plenty of offense, plenty of turnovers, but the New York Knicks did the business. Late, it got a little bit nervy as Phoenix made a run. The Knicks bench struggled early in the fourth, but OG Anunoby, oh my, Anunoby is starting to become a superstar in this league. Ladies and gentlemen, another game ball tonight. Let's break it down with the best chat in the biz. No doubt we're all buzzing with just 5 games to play. 4 games to play now against Boston on Tuesday. Then we have Detroit, Cleveland and Brooklyn. And man, 50-28 on the season. Lots to talk about, lots to celebrate and look ahead, obviously, to what looks like is going to be a 3-6 matchup against the Detroit Pistons. And we'll go through why, the scenarios and all of that after we're done shouting you guys out and giving out these flowers to our New York Knicks. In this one, A+ performance from OG with 32 points, dominant, getting to the rack, getting to the free throw line as well. Actually, no free throws tonight. But 6 of 8 from downtown, +9, and 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 13 of 17 from the field, 6 of 8 from downtown, man. And Jalen Brunson, first game back, hit the big clutch 3, shaking off some of that rust. He was 6 of 9, but he got to the foul line. I mixed up the two, and Jalen Brunson got some valuable free throws. He was getting Bradley Beal in foul trouble. Bradley Beal was trying to play some D tonight, and Jalen Brunson said, I'm going to go left, and you can't stop me. 6 assists for JB, 15 points, +9, and hit a 3-pointer, which was a big one, but 8 of 10 from the stripe, which was massive, right? But the ball movement was key once again. 28 assists, 6 steals for the team. And let's talk about it, guys. I think the bet struggled a little bit. But Prezi the boss says 50 burger. We have to start from the top. 50-win season, back-to-back, right? I don't take this for granted, ladies and gentlemen. And salute to you, salute to Knicks Nation. The streets are buzzing. Replay squad and the chat right now. You know, most of us have been through it, man. We've been through the wars, been stuck in the mud, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. To sit here and say we win back-to-back 50-win seasons, man, you know, this thing don't come around every day, you know. And so appreciate we have a great team to root for, and hopefully ultimate success is around the corner right now. But 50-28, and we have 4 more to take care of as well. Chris Tendrell in the building says Anunoby, Chris. Yeah, and I love that 360 late from OG Tendrell. OG's in his bag right now, man. He's feeling so confident. He feels like, man, I'm being paid like a superstar. Let me go out and show it right now. Maybe it took Jalen Brunson getting injured just to kickstart, ignite the fire under OG Anunoby. But whatever it is, it's there. And it's flaming. It's flaming right now. The fires within are burning within OG Anunoby. We had a Mike Breen bang moment as well to go with the 32 piece. The step back as well. Like I said, if he tightens his handle even more in the summer, I think OG Anunoby is definitely an offensive superstar in this league based on what we've seen in this stretch. And it ain't a small sample. He's been doing this for, what, 20 games now? This is a serious hot stretch. The best of his career. You know, ain't no hyperbole. And Paula says, salute Prezi the Boss 50 Burger. Daniel Berry's in the house. Yo, what's up? Tendrell says Cap comes alive in clutch. Clutch gene activates at the 5-minute mark. Like clockwork, fam. Yeah, he's still in line for the clutch player of the year. And I'm going to say that that's basically done and dusted. That's his award, man. Ain't no one with as many go-ahead buckets late. And even though he missed 15 games, which says a lot. But also, what today marks with JB's return is that he's now eligible for first team All NBA, ladies and gentlemen. He just got to play 3 more games. I don't think he'll play the back-to-back with Cleveland or Detroit. He'll play probably one of those and then hopefully rack up the 4 games necessary to become first team All NBA eligible in the building. Going to highlight the grades in a minute, but the team stats, like I said, we locked down on the perimeter, but Phoenix, we're using the ball movement because we were hedging and trapping the pick and roll to get the ball out of Booker's hands. He was moving the ball well. They were getting some open looks, but they only shot, you see correct, 11.8% from downtown. This game would have been a lot closer had that not been the case. Phoenix couldn't buy a bucket from downtown, man, all night. But I like the Knicks strategy. I like the fact that we're not just throwing in the drop coverage all night. You got to mix it up. And right now, we recognize that Karl Anthony Towns at the 5 is not good in drop coverage, and the New York Knicks have made an adjustment. As OG Anunoby scored something like 10 straight buckets, and he was absolutely on fire. They had no answer for him in this one. But it was defensively that I think the Knicks have switched their strategy up, fam, and worked, taking the ball out of Booker's hands, make someone else beat us, make Bradley Beal, Colin Gillespie, Ryan Dunn, the other guys in this one. Grayson Allen couldn't buy a bucket, as well as Tyus Jones as well. But let us know what you think, because the drop coverage with Cat, that is the worry in the playoffs. And the Knicks look like they've really switched things up for 2 games consecutively right now. CC says, I'm glad we didn't trade for Bradley Beal. You and me both, fam. The salary, the age. Look at Phoenix, man. They might not even be in the play-in. It's crazy. And Paula echoes the thoughts too. We're making smart moves in this business. OG's only 27 years old, fam. I had to peep his age because I'm like, man, I ain't seen a player really hit this height this late in their career since Julius Randle. That was about the same age, 28, 27 to 28, 29 was when Julius Randle really turned into that MIP with the New York Knicks. And right now, if OG Anunoby was doing this maybe in the first 30 games of this season, he would probably be in the MIP conversations, ladies and gentlemen. But nevertheless, he's 27 years old, and he won't be 28 until next season begins. So that's like a couple more years before he even hits 30. And we're seeing the leap. We're seeing the major leap, the size, the confidence. Also, shout out to the health, ladies and gentlemen, because Casey Smith came on board from Dallas. They say he's the best health science doctor in the sport, and the Knicks poached him. And OG Anunoby probably on track to play the highest games of his career or of recent time. And I think sustained play with good health and good rhythm breeds consistency. Good win, says James. Tibbs didn't do the right thing with DeLon right. He didn't play DeLon. Campaign, we'll chop that up in a minute. But Tibbs gets a B+ for a couple of reasons. He went with the 9-man as well, which I like. He heard the feedback. Obviously, second night of a back-to-back, he had to go 9-man. And obviously, Brunson returned, so that was an easier decision. But also, he won the first 2 challenge calls as well. So I think Tibbs played his part in this one with the dub. And also, surpassing Pat the Rat Tibbs as the fourth most winningest New York Knicks coach. Ladies and gentlemen, passing Pat Riley in that one. So congrats to Tibbs right now. And obviously the playoffs were about to embark on a major test. Looks like against Detroit. And I'm hyped for that one. I heard the talk earlier in the season. I see what the Pistons are trying to do. And let us know your thoughts, man. We ain't ducking that smoke. Isaiah Stewart, Beef Stew, OG Anunoby's got something for you right now. But yeah, other story tonight, Deuce McBride returned, hit his first 2 threes like he never missed a beat. So I like Deuce's activity, B+. Yeah, the bench struggled a little bit late, so I'm a little bit generous, but I think Mitchell Robinson was deterring shots. Shamet hit a few shots. Campaign, a little bit average, but 6 dimes. Everyone played their role. I do believe DeLon Wright deserves an opportunity. I ain't going to lie. But obviously, it looks like Tibbs has made his call. And we have to go with it for now. DeLon Wright said that I'm just going to have to, carve out a new role for myself, which I respect. I understand that, it's tough as a veteran. You go from starting, you're out of the rotation, then you get a starting opportunity late in a season on a winning team, and then you have to go back to not only giving up the starting spot, but giving up a rotation spot altogether. So I understand how difficult that must be for the mindset. That can really, it can be burned away at you, I think. But DeLon Wright just has to be a good teammate and wait for his next opportunity. With just 4 games remaining, I don't think he's going to take Campaign out of the rotation for DeLon Wright. And so let's see what happens. There's matchups dependent. There's, a long series potentially awaiting us in the first round, second round, third round, fourth round even. And let's see, man. Let's see how it all plays out. Also, yeah, timing wise, like CC says, it's there and it gives JB time to get his timing. David, what's up? Another good win. I don't know what caused OG to turn it up, but he's on another level right now. I think he's hitting that age, and I think continuity, David, I think playing more games allows you to get in that rhythm. And I think it started with the 3-point ball, and then he elevated that to driving and using his physicality, because what happens is when your 3-point ball is fallen and it's splashing, it opens up a lot. It opens up driving lanes. It opens up the pass. It opens up everything. And then the game slows down. It's like you're playing in slow motion, You've leveled up like a cheat code right now. And those numbers are insane. 6 of 8 from downtown. I mean, that's what we hoped Mikal Bridges could or would be. That's what we hope Karl Anthony Towns would be doing from 3. 6 of 8. That's kind of what Jalen Brunson strives to be as well from downtown. And this man's doing it effortlessly right now as our small forward, power forward, to shoot 6 of 8, 75% from downtown. That's huge in the playoffs, guys, because you have to respect that so much. And it's just going to open up the game for everyone else. And 28 assists tonight. I think we are playing at a faster pace. It'll be interesting to see how long we can sustain that. Now that Brunson, is back, first game, we were playing at a faster speed when he was out. But obviously everyone's a bit more rested now. I feel we have a week break after these final 4 games. Let's see how it pans out, ladies and gentlemen. Buzzer Beater says, salute. What time is it? It's money time. Facts. Buzzer. What was your favorite part of the ball game tonight? Obviously seeing Deuce and JB return, but OG, it didn't affect him at all. And that's probably the biggest takeaway. I know a lot of potential doubters, potential guys watching and hoping that maybe things can fall flat, with a couple of guys returning and maybe the groove and the rhythm doesn't continue, but it continued, man. OG Anunoby is just on another level right now, and Brunson has to, not going to say defer, but he has to understand the situation right now that the team's stronger. The team is stronger in terms of the sum of all of its parts, and the stronger that everybody is together, pulling in the right direction, the stronger this team will be. The stronger that this team will ultimately be, fam. Unpredictable, which is dangerous as well, fam. What's up, George? Says the grind before the playoffs. Yeah, this one was a bit more uncomfortable than it needed to be late, but obviously a couple of guys returning back in the rotation. No DeLon Wright taken out as well. And I think obviously a new starting five. Phoenix have been god awful, man, and thankfully they didn't hit their open shots. But I'm not going to critique the strategy of the Knicks doubling and hedging on the pick and roll. That's what I've been wanting the Knicks to do for a while. None of this drop coverage, trying to fight over every single screen, because it's tough in this NBA when guys are setting illegal screens. I've documented how tough it is with Boston, Cleveland setting these illegal picks. It's tough to fight over these picks, and Mikal Bridges had struggled, in the big time matchups. So icing the pick, hedging on the pick and roll, and then scrambling to rotate. I think it's been good the last two matchups. As we got the Brunisher back, we're going to talk about him, but we're going to continue to give out these flowers for OG Anunoby. Chris says, let's hope the 9-man rotation sticks. Also, would love to see Wright play. Wilson, salute, another 50 burger. I can't complain. Yeah, man, I think you said it. I think we all understand the situation right now, and we're trying to clear the hump. We're trying to get over Boston and, the best in the league. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we shouldn't appreciate that we have a winning ball club, that can go out there in a regular season and put up 50 wins, 28 losses so far as well, winning basketball right now with improvements that can be made defensively. Of course, we haven't had Mitchell Robinson for anywhere near the full season. This has been the first season of Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, season with the New York Knicks, their first season as well, gelling. Obviously, Tibbs had his criticisms as well from myself, from a lot of people. Everyone has to just be pulling in that right direction now, and fight for the big goal, man, the major goal right now, which is to win that NBA championship, man, and bring it home to New York City. OG Anunoby, before tonight's game, is the first player in Knicks franchise history to score 20 points on 60% true shooting in 8 straight games. And I believe that will be 9 straight games right now, ladies and gentlemen. So he's breaking his own record right now. Breaking his own record. Dermot says, nice team win, OG and Cat. AP, what's up? Just seeing them get that 50 win, I'm happy with. We are grateful for DeLon Wright holding the point guard down when the captain was out, playing their part together. Buzzer, OG's consistent play. Consistency, the best stretch of his career right now, which is amazing. Second night of a back-to-back as well. The team really showed up, early. Yeah, Phoenix made that comeback, but it was 19 points early in the fourth. I don't think we tune out if it's a more meaningful game. I do feel like the Knicks are probably starting to, look ahead to what awaits, which is going to be a first-round matchup against the 6th seed. The New York Knicks only need one more win to officially clinch the 3rd seed, although it basically is locked up right now. And it looks like Indiana will probably face Milwaukee for the 4-5 seed, with Indiana getting the home court there. And it does look like that the New York Knicks will be hosting game 1 against the Detroit Pistons, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be some mind games. The Knicks play Detroit after the next game. And Beef Stew from the area, he's been chippy lately. He's been physical, been yapping and chirping, and they're going to try to be physical with the New York Knicks, right? I'm going to have a lot of fun breaking that series down, and we'll definitely be getting some guests back in to talk about the first round of the playoff matchup, which looks like it is going to be against Detroit. There is a smaller chance that it could be Milwaukee still, but those two teams play each other in the final two games, and it does look like that Milwaukee is trying to get that fifth spot and avoid the Knicks. Detroit, they did rest Cade Cunningham the other night, so it looks like they could be happy with or content with facing us in that first round. It's great to have Deuce back. Like I said, for the most part, Deuce was in the plus, gave us 8 points, hit a couple of threes, 3 of 6 from the field, solid in his first game back. Cameron Payne missed 1 of 4 from the field. Shamet went 2 of 3, 5 points. Mitchell Robinson went 1 of 2 with 2 points off our bench, right? With the 9-man rotation, I'm glad that Tibbs went with the 9-man. Mary Martin says, no way how Cap is going to be the problem. I think the situation was that, fans see a certain style of play and they get behind it without the Cap. But obviously with the Cap back, our ceiling is a lot higher. And obviously late down the stretch, we're going to see in the playoffs, you need that guy that just has to be double teamed. You have to take the ball out of his hand to beat the New York Knicks. But we've got other guys going now in regards to OG, in regards to Karl Anthony Towns. Mikal Bridges also got his groove while Brunson is out. And I think it was great for the mentality of our team. The fact that going through that challenge when Brunson's out, there's nothing guaranteeing that Brunson won't miss games next season or the season after that. You just don't know. And so the Knicks didn't really have to face a longer stretch without the captain. And so this was really important. This was a really important 15 games in this organization, dealing with that adversity, dealing with the situation of other guys having to step up and find their games or realize that they've still got game. In the case of finding that rhythm. Michael Drake says balling out, 100% CT 50 wins. Let's get it. Great milestone. I'm happy. You're happy. We're buzzing. Buzzer Beater says, CT, can we win these last 4? I don't think they will go all out, but I do think we can. As I'll pull up the schedule right now, just to confirm the dates. What do we have? We have Boston, Tuesday night. We have a day's rest. Then we have the start of a back-to-back, Detroit, Cleveland. I do think that knowing Tom Thibodeau and knowing guys playing their minutes, we will probably play a full rotation, but maybe a reduced minutes, or if it's a blowout, hopefully guys can get their rest in. I do think we have a chance to beat Boston at MSG, depending on who they play. The Detroit one, like I said, it'll be a lot clearer by that Detroit game whether or not we're guaranteed to be playing those guys in that first round. If we are, I think the New York Knicks will probably, or Detroit might play some gamesmanship. Because to me, it don't make much sense to go all out against a team that you're going to play a 7-game series in a matter of a week. Let us know what you would do. I wouldn't play a full rotation against Detroit just because of the fact that, let them think that, they won 2 of the 3 against us during the regular season. Let them think that is the same team that they're going to face, because it's not. It's a different team. It's a completely different team right now, with Karl Anthony Towns going, Bridges, OG Anunoby as well. I remember one of those games against Detroit earlier in the season. It was against basically a team that was on the second of a back-to-back, and the Knicks just looked so tired that night as well. Michael Drake, I'm so sorry to hear of the loss, fam. My heart goes out to you and your family, and my thoughts and prayers are with you and your family as well. Stay strong, and no doubt we got your back. I'm glad that you're here with us, and no doubt hold it down, and definitely, man. Um, it's just a tough situation to hear. I'm sorry to hear of your loss. Hopefully, the New York Knicks can continue their tear, man, and lift the spirits. But outside of that, man, stay strong, and definitely, man, uh, my heart's with you and your fam. AP says, I want to make a statement against Detroit. With that said, man, I think Detroit will be maybe a little bit overconfident. Feel like that they've won, the 2 games against us, and if they are a little bit cocky, trying to fall into that the 6 seed, I think the New York Knicks will find motivation in that. They should find some extra motivation. So yeah, Boston, I'm going to say that's a win. The Detroit one, I don't know if we're going to rest guys or they're going to rest guys. The Cleveland one, I think even if they play some of their rotation, that's still going to be a tough game. But I do think we'll probably win 2 more, Buzzer, at least. I'll say minimum 2 out of 4, most likely 3 out of 4, and we'll get to 52, 53 wins, fam. Unfortunately, I think the over-under was 53.5 on Vegas, so you might have to win all 4 if you do have a parlay with Vegas earlier in the season. But look, I'm glad that this regular season is about to wind down because the playoffs, baby, is here. It's money time, and this is what we do this for, Our guys can step up, on the biggest stage right now. It's a newer team this year. We went through the lumps, we went through the ups and downs, the roller coaster of this regular season, but I think we come out the other side right now. We are stronger mentally. We just have to execute. We got to execute better. And defensively, I've seen some encouraging signs recently. Obviously, Mitch returning was a nice boost. He has to find some consistency, I must say. Mitchell Robinson is going to be a massive X factor in any playoff series, especially against Detroit. When it comes to Jalen Duren, B. Stewart, they're going to have some guys try to attack the paint. Tobias Harris, Cade Cunningham as well. So Mitch is going to be vital. But defensively, we've switched things up a little bit. If Cat's the 5, it looks like we are working to get the ball out of the pick and roll ball handler, stepping up on those threes and not doing the drop coverage as much. So let's see how that plays out, fam, in the final 4 games. Maybe the coaches have looked at some data and held some practice. Vaughn Allen, what's up, fam? The season went by fast. It did. We were super locked in, and we're going to be even more locked in now that the postseason is here. The postseason has arrived, guys, and I feel that energy from the 90s and the early 2010s when we went on that big run, and also the last few seasons as well. The experience had guys like Deuce McBride going to be embarking on his 3rd postseason run now. Mitchell Robinson hasn't been able to play many playoff games, due to injuries and all of that. I think the experience of a guy like a DeLon Wright, OG, been to the NBA Finals. Mikal Bridges, been to an NBA Finals. Karl Anthony Towns went to the Western Conference Finals last season with the Minnesota Timberwolves. PJ Tucker on there, going to get guys' heads straight in that locker room. I do think we are coming in a lot more equipped to make noise, make major noise when it comes to the postseason, fam. Can't believe it's already hit, but I'm so excited already. Right, so today the biggest story is Jalen Brunson returned, hit a big 3 to stave off late run. In terms of physically, how did he look? Yeah, he looked great. I think he looked fine. I think he just obviously looked a little bit rusty in terms of shot selection, you know, when to dish, when to pull the trigger. But whenever they gave him a moment of daylight, he took advantage. If Bradley Beal showed him to the left, which was crazy because Clyde pointed that out, he took him straight to the rack. And then when they played up on him, he got the ball moving. So, look, I can't ask for much more in his first game back. It ain't like he missed 3 games. He missed 15 games. So, it does take a little bit of time to get that rhythm back when you do miss 15 games. So, shout out to Brunson. The captain finished with 15 points, but a +9 was big, and 6 dimes, as well as drilling 1-3 as well. So not an efficient night from the field, but you like the 6 assists, and he still led team equaled with Cameron Payne with 6 dimes in that one. So great to get him back, and perfect timing with 4 games remaining. So we rewind like a few weeks ago. We weren't sure when Brunson was going to be back. Was it going to be in the final week? Was it going to be right when the playoffs are about to start and he wasn't going to get any, warm-up games? But now, we can kind of rest easy now that we've got 4 more games to play and some tough games, tough competition for Brunson to shake off some of that rust. But the pleasing thing is that OG Anunoby looked brilliant as well. And Bridges got plenty of touches as well. Bridges got 11 shots up. 14 shots up. 8 of 14 from the field. Bridges gets the A-. He played 6 rebounds, 22 points, and had a block as well, +11. And 2 of 3 from downtown and 4 of 4 from the free throw. So shout out to Mikal Bridges for a great game, A-, and excellent that he led the team in shot attempts. Second in shot attempts, OG with 17. AP says, please, no first round or second round exits. Amen. But we just have to take nothing for granted. First round. We've been out the first round before. Remember ATL during the COVID season? I think we did take ATL a little bit lightly, and we'll start to feel ourselves. But yeah, I don't think this team is going to be feeling themselves. I do think they know what's up for grabs, what's at stake against Detroit. Detroit are a physical team, and the fact that they've had success against us in the regular season, I think is going to eliminate any kind of complacency when it comes to the first round. David M says beef stew might even toughen Cat some more. I think there's going to be ways we can attack that. Beef Stewart, you definitely want him out on the perimeter. Karl-Anthony Towns has been killing Detroit out on the perimeter. I've spoke to some Detroit fans and coverage. They do worry about Karl-Anthony Towns' ability to hurt them on the perimeter because that's their Achilles. So sneak peek, that's going to be a lot in our season series preview against Detroit. Karl-Anthony Towns will be a major X factor in that one because Jalen Duren is a paint presence. You pull him out. Beef Stew, same deal. Rebounding, paint presence. You want to be able to pull those guys out. Also, the other element is Beef Stew can be a bit erratic. You can get under his skin. Now, I don't know which Nick is going to be the one to get under his skin. Maybe it could be Cameron Payne. Could be a pain in his backside. It could be, I could see a guy like Landry Shamet maybe getting into him a little bit. Mitchell Robinson could be a guy that he yaps with. Heck, Karl-Anthony Towns, him and Cat could be getting into a war of words. I could see that play out. But I do think guys just got to keep their cool. But yeah, I think Isaiah Stewart's going to be a walking technical foul in any playoff game fam. But it is going to be interesting, man. There's so much more than Isaiah Stewart in that series. It's going to be keeping Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dennis Schroeder and of course Malik Beasley off the perimeter. So yeah, that's where that's at right now. AP says CT, the Knicks are 14 games worse than the Thunder. It's going to be a huge mountain to climb. I think for this season, you're 100% correct. You know, I ain't talking myself into the fact that the Knicks are going to beat the Thunder in the finals, but I do think, you know, it's steps. You know, Rome wasn't built in that day. The Thunder have been together for a minute. You know, they've got a core and nucleus. You got to let this Knicks team go through that experience of a deep playoff run. Hopefully, it's deeper than we expect. Pause. But hopefully we go on a major run and we get a lot of valuable experience if we don't win the chip. But I do think next year you'll see a lot of confidence. Obviously, OG Anunoby, the confidence he's looking like. You know, we know what to expect from Cat. I do think there's levels Jalen Brunson realistically can still get to as a player. I mean, he's only 28. Let's not think that Jalen Brunson's game is peaked. He's got some things that he can work on in the summer and definitely work on his game. And then you've obviously got guys on the come up. You know, the depth is going to be a major talking point. Brunson's ability to, you know, find guys, you know, in their pockets. Tyler Kolek take a leap. Deuce McBride hopefully take a major leap. We'll see what happens with campaign. You know, the Knicks will have that $5.5 billion taxpayer. They might be able to split that and pay campaign a little bit more than the minimum and maybe use the rest of that on somebody else. Maybe you want campaign to walk. The Knicks will have options. Speaking of options, man, Phoenix Suns don't have no option with Bradley Beal. Like Buzzer says, that Beal contract has got to be the worst contract in the league right now. It's up there, man. It's up there, man. It might be number one. Who else, man? This might be a hot take. Might not be a hot take, but Joel Embiid, Paul George are pretty bad contracts as well, fam. I think Bradley Beal might only have, what has he got, 2 years left? If he has 3 years left, then it's definitely the worst contract. But Joel Embiid has got 5 years left. PG, I think, has got 5 as well, or 4 after this one as well. Like J.I. took the words out of my mouth in this one. Buzzer says Paul George with the Sixers is pretty bad as well. Jeremy Grant is pretty bad, although his play is still quite solid, I believe. But in terms of that team in Portland, you know, he's on 60 mil. You know, obviously, you know, I wish speedy recovery for Damian Lillard, but if the guy's out with blood clots, then that's a bad contract. You know, it's just the nature of what it is, man. He's on 60 mil, and even if he didn't have blood clots, it would still be a very bad contract, in my opinion, because Damian Lillard can't guard a lamppost right now in his elder stage of his career. From Buzzer's thoughts, Bridges is our X factor. Maybe DeLon Wright too, but definitely Bridges. He's got to step up for us. Money time. Yeah, you're not wrong, man. I think Bridges, major X factor. I'm going to say, I'm going to stick with the guy, Mitchie. I do think Mitchell Robinson seems to have a moment in the playoffs, always. Every time he's had those games against Philadelphia, Cleveland, where he dominated them, he just always finds a way to make a massive impact. Does Mitchie? Let's bring up the play from this ball game tonight. Where do we have it? Yeah, this sequence right here. Stepping up. Fully healthy as well. And I do think that the Knicks are just easing Mitchell Robinson back with the minutes. I don't think he's going to play 30 in the playoffs, but if he's needed to, I think he'll be available and ready to play more minutes. Maybe Karl Anthony Towns foul trouble. Maybe we play lineups with two bigs against Cleveland. Maybe Detroit try to play Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren together. That could be a situation where we need to play Mitch, right? And on that note, a telling sign, ladies and gentlemen, from tonight's box score. Who is in the DNP? No, I'm not talking about DeLon Wright. I'm talking about Precious Achiuwa, ladies and gentlemen. Precious Achiuwa chalking up a DNP. So that's telling. That to me tells me that second night of a back-to-back, no, he wouldn't want to rest Cat, and he doesn't want to rest Mitch, but he still doesn't play Precious Achiuwa. So that is interesting, guys. If you are going to play Mitch and Cat, you probably don't need Precious. Maybe he's going to go small with Landry, Deuce, and Campaign with the 3-guard lineups. I think that would be something I would get behind. Now, I am a Precious hater, but I do feel like we can be more effective if we are playing smaller. I think speed, ball handling, creation, and of course shot making is a big issue with the bench. And if you have Precious Achiuwa out there with another non-spacer, like a Hart or another big, like Mitch, it's going to be tough, fam. And so, look, unfortunately, the nature of the business, Precious has been solid for us throughout stretches of the season. He's played a part. He's played his role. But right now, he might be on the outside looking in. I do think that we need shooting. We need speed. We need to get up and down. I like the Campaign Landry Deuce lineups. That's fine. You could play Bridges. You could play OG with them. You could play Cat with them. You can mix it up. There we see Precious on the bench cheering on the teammates. But the OG Anunoby onslaught, man, this is going to be headlines nationally now. National media, not just Knicks. Obviously, heading into a series now, you got to feel good. Doesn't matter who it is, right? Let's say that the playoffs start tomorrow. You got to feel good about OG, the way he's playing, and especially against a Milwaukee or a Detroit. For me, David says Philly needs to trade everybody but Maxey. They've got Grimes, they've got McCain. I think those guys are guys that they're going to keep. Chris says poor Precious. Poor a few guys. I do think DeLon Wright deserves a shot. Tyler Kolek. Let's not forget about our rook. He did a job while JB was out. But with every unfortunate thing, there's just a silver lining and a meaning behind where we're on a mission to bigger things. We can't play everybody. We're on a mission to be the best version of our team that we can possibly be. And is Tyler Kolek the best version of our point guard? No, we've got Brunson and we've got Miles McBride. He's just going to have to wait. Next season, I think, is a big opportunity for Kolek to take that spot. Probably DeLon Wright will probably go. Campaign will probably go in the off-season as well. I wouldn't mind one of those two guys sticking around. Maybe they could be the third string, like a DeLon Wright. But Tyler Kolek, you have to develop him, I think, from next season onward. That would be my mission for the off-season. Yeah, the Embiid situation and PG, that set them back. That set them back, man, years. No doubt about it. Michael Drake says, Bo Champ, would you play him in the playoffs? He's not eligible, unfortunately, fam. I would play him if he was, getting regular minutes now earlier, but right now he ain't. He ain't got that rhythm. Michael, you want the guys in rhythm heading into the first round, and I think it's great to get Deuce back in the nick of time with Brunson as well. they can get 4 games of rhythm and get their shots up, and then hopefully in the first round, yeah, it's nothing but splash from downtown. To be honest, we need to see a big campaign game from offensively perspective as well. I think campaign's been distributing solid tonight 6 times, but we still need him to to hit some threes. He missed a couple of threes tonight, so yeah, we need to see a big game from campaign. Otherwise, I would go back to DeLon Wright, man. Tibbs has kind of already alluded to the fact that it's going to be a case of next man up and campaigns back, and so he's just going to have to get back to situational. Is DeLon Wright? But we'll see, man. Injuries can happen, playoff matchups dependent. I remember there was a game where he did play DeLon Wright when everyone was playing, but it was just for a small defensive sequence towards the end of a ball game. So he does value what DeLon Wright brings to the table. He does know that he's a deflections king, and he can get in the passing lane. But yeah, he's used him very sparingly. When when everyone's been fully healthy. And right now, that is the major story heading into the playoffs, guys. Right, everybody is healthy. Mitch is back. Brunson's back. Deuce is back. Right now, campaign is back. 4 games remain. Let's get it. Let's put the pedal to the metal and head into the postseason full of confidence right now. And so let's bring up the action around the league right now. Shout out to the squad handling the business. OG with the game ball. There were some upsets today. The Oklahoma City Thunder got washed by the Lakers, but they played everybody as well. But maybe they were just kind of going half at it. The Bulls picked up a big win to hold on to the 9th spot, and it looks like they will have home court, possibly against the Miami Heat for the play-in elimination game. Right. I'm actually going to root for the Bulls in that one. I hope the Bulls can defeat the Miami Heat if that plays out. It will be the Bulls Heat first round matchup, but they do have a few games remaining. There's only a 1-game swing right now, but the Bulls would have home court against the Heat. Loser gets eliminated. The Hawks and the Magic will battle it out for the 7th spot, and the loser will face the winner out of the Bucks and the Heat, currently constructed. I would suggest, based on how bad the Hawks looked last night, that the Orlando Tragic should get that win and advance to the 7th spot for the honors to play Boston in the first round. Now the Bucks and the Pistons will play each other in the final 2 games of their regular season. So, look, there's a half a game separate the two. I've done the math. I think the Bucks have slightly easier games, and I do think that the Pistons will probably try to lose the final 2, so that they can face the New York Knicks. And I do think that the Bucks really want to get those wins to face Indiana. So, hey man, if Detroit want to play around, then they're going to get what's coming, man. But I'm fired up. I'm ready for that series, right? I know I would have preferred to play Milwaukee, but look, right now, you just have to be confident. You just have to be locked in. And right now, we are a better team than Detroit. Yes, they're a good team as well. And Detroit have shown that they are hungry. They're young. They can splash from 3. They can play inside with their bruisers as well. However, when push comes to shove, I think if the Knicks stay true to the ball movement and get guys going, and we play defense from the perimeter, I think we'll beat Detroit in 6. Fam, 5 or 6. Let us know your thoughts on that one. Buzzer Beater says, CT, I want to beat Vegas' season win prediction. I feel you. And I had a feeling when you said, can we get the final 4 wins? So you might have a little parlay on it, man. I'm rooting for it. Hopefully we can win all 4 of these. remaining games. But it's tough because, yeah, an injury with JB, that's the reason why I kind of hesitate taking the over-unders, fam, in some of these seasons. I went with 55 wins was my prediction, but I didn't predict that Jalen Brunson was going to miss 15 games. That's a lot. When you're trying to win 54 wins, if you lose your best player for 15 games, it's a tough accomplishment. Yeah, AP says root for whoever can beat the Celtics or the Cavaliers the best. 100%. Great point. And that's the reason why I think out of the Bulls and the Miami Heat, I think the Bulls could give, they're not going to beat the Celtics in a series, but I do think that they can play hard. They can play up and down. I do think that also out of the 8th spot, the Bulls can play the Cavaliers, I think, tough. And I do think that the Magic can play the Celtics tough from a defensive standpoint, from that physical standpoint. If Detroit wants us, let them have them. Yep, 100%, 100%. Look, right now, everyone's a playoff team and they deserve respect, right? Remember the Philadelphia series last season where Paul Reed was talking smack, saying, yeah, we like where we're at 7th spot versus the 2 seed Knicks. Well, yeah, how did that work out for Paul Reed and Philadelphia and co? Right now, history is going to repeat. If, and I'm just saying if, the Pistons are playing some chicanery and want to fall into that 6th spot on purpose, then there's going to be some karma attached to that, man. They just need to stay true to these games and try to win. Because if I'm Detroit, I would rather finish 5th. You need to try to finish as high as you possibly can, right? They're the Detroit Pistons. They're not one of these top seeds trying to, finagle their pathway. They just need to face whoever they're going to face. But if they prefer to face the Knicks, then, all the best to them. They're definitely going to face a tidal wave when it comes to it. J.I. says, I think we beat Detroit, but it depends on Tibbs. If he's real stubborn, not sure. I will say it's not going to be an easy series, and it's probably not going to be over in 5. I don't think that's a hot take. I think Detroit at least take 1 game, maybe 2, possibly 3. But I do think a lack of experience. I think we'll get to Detroit. I mean, let's just revisit the heights of last season's playoff bedlam when it was the Philadelphia series, where the Garden was going crazy right now. You couldn't hear the person sitting next to you, right? And the atmosphere, the organ, the defense is going to be buzzing. How do you think a young team like Detroit is going to handle that, man? At the tough moments, it's going to be tough for them, man. They've got young players. They've got guys that can lose their head, guys that are hot-headed as well, right? I like that matchup, Karl Anthony Towns versus Isaiah Stewart. Hopefully we can get him in foul trouble, get him technicaled, fouled out. It's going to be fun, man. I do think the Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brunson matchup, though, is going to be the key matchup of that series. So what else played out today? We had another major upset. We had Cleveland dropping to the Sacramento Kings. So we had Oklahoma and the top seed out east, Cleveland, lose games today. So yeah, I don't think they're going at 100%. They've obviously locked up their seeding already. So I don't think there's a major storyline in that. But it is interesting just to peep the box score. They did play Mobley, Strauss, Allen, Spider, and Garland as well. And yes, they all played major minutes. They all played 30 plus. Ty Jerome even came back to score 20. And DeAndre Hunter put up a 11 off their bench. So, Sacramento, are they still fighting for the play-in? Yes, they are. Sacramento are 9. So no wonder Sacramento fighting for that spot, more hungry against Cleveland. But it is what it is. I do think Cleveland's beatable. I stand on that hill, right? Let's not forget the New York Knicks were up by 15 points on the road against Cleveland. Let's not forget that the New York Knicks were up by 10 plus against Oklahoma earlier in the season on the road. We just let go of the rope and we allowed them to get their confidence back and get into a rhythm. But defensively, if we can turn the screws and switch things up and make some adjustments, obviously there are signs that the Knicks can get an upset, can compete at the very least. The third quarter against Boston was another example in that road game against Boston. But look, it's obviously a very small sample, where the Knicks just have to do better against those teams. But look, we take it step at a time. OG wasn't playing the way he's playing right now. Also, major props to the Houston Rockets. They've been one of the major stories in the NBA, locking up the 2nd seed. The Knicks have had success against Houston this season, splitting the two games. The Knicks have swept the Nuggets. The Knicks swept the Grizzlies, who are all the way down to 8 right now. And just to bring this up, with Memphis sliding, the New York Knicks draft pick is getting better every single loss right now. So that is key. The New York Knicks currently select with the 51st pick of the 2nd round. There's going to be some serious talent still available in that 2nd round. And so, yeah, that's great. Great for us that Memphis have started to slide all the way down to the 8th seed. So we'll continue to pay attention to that. Obviously, after the lottery night, they could slide even further if the ping pong balls, send them further down as well. So that could be very interesting too. But look, statistically, OG Anunoby is breaking records right now. First Knick player in franchise history to have 8 consecutive games of 20 points plus on 60% true shooting percentage, man. He's a flamethrower from downtown, 6 of 8. That's going to open the lanes for Karl Anthony Towns. It's going to open the lanes for Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges right now. And I think it's scary hours for the league, man. The Knicks had the best offense in the month of November earlier this season. That was probably the height of our offensive season. Now, OG Anunoby's turned the corner, and we are even more dangerous. I think Tim Hardaway has got some experience to add. That's a good point. His shooting is something that we need to definitely pay attention to. Let's not forget they picked up Dennis Schroeder as well. He was a good trade deadline acquisition as well. So, look, another reason why I would like us to play DeLon Wright, fam. I ain't going to lie. DeLon Wright. There's going to be a matchup where people are going to be calling for DeLon Wright. Best believe that. Now, could it be against Cade Cunningham? Ladies and gentlemen, if they want to keep switching and try to get Jalen Brunson matched up onto Cade Cunningham, well, that could be, and let's say worst case scenario, he's cooking us in a particular game on the road. That could be a game where DeLon Wright, man, comes in late down the stretch, couple of possessions, get some stops. He's 6'5", and he's a better matchup defensively for a guy like Cade. But look, there's going to be a lot of mind games. We see today, they tried to get the ball out of Brunson's hands. They're picking him up full court as well. It's a case of exactly what we saw last postseason. Kelly Oubre. It was take your pick. It was each wing trying to guard JB at full court. And I think we're going to see the same kind of thing, except hopefully with more outlets, with Bridges, Hart, OG, even Cat with the full court pass. I think we have more outlets to bypass the double and the trapping. I think Memphis are in a tough conference, obviously, but yeah, chemistry and locker room AP, things just went south. You got Ja Morant doing the gun signals every night, getting fined by the NBA. And I mean, think about that. Think about what that would make us feel like if our face of our franchise was in the headlines every night for the wrong reasons. Right. That's another reason to be so grateful for a guy like Brunson, Cat, OG. These guys, they handle themselves correct. Now, Ja Morant has got game, but what I'm saying is you don't want no unnecessary spotlight. You don't want negative press on your franchise. Firing your head coach with 9 games left in the season, and then your head face of the franchise getting fined by the NBA nightly, doing gun signals and whatnot, man. I mean, they're a mess. They're a hot mess right now. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised. Ain't no franchise with like Ime Udoka as head coach or Tibbs as head coach. Ain't no franchise like that putting up with that. Ain't no franchise with a head coach like Popovich or Joe Mazzulla or the Oklahoma coach. Ain't none of these franchises putting up with that. You have to be you have to cut the cord when it comes to that. You have to be ruthless right now. You're running a business, man. If it ain't good for your business, you need to make a business decision right now. And also, he's hurting his trade stock right now. How many people are going to be running to the altar to give up first round picks for Ja Morant? Now, he's hurting the organization and the trade stock as well. It's going to be interesting to see if Charlotte want to trade LaMelo Ball. How many picks could they get for LaMelo? As well. That could be interesting. Yeah, how many teams did Dennis Schroeder play on this year, man? I think him and Quentin Grimes played on a season high 4 teams, fam. 3 teams or 4. David, what's up? Whoever we get in the first round, we have to finish them quickly because the second round will be a dogfight. I hear what you're saying, and I 100% agree, but I don't think it's going to play out that way. I don't think that the Knicks will. I don't think the first round will play out that way because it'll be tough. It's going to be either Milwaukee or Detroit, and although I want us to finish them quickly, it's going to be a series where if we don't win the first 2 games, it's going to be a longer series. So I think the first 2 games, are by far the most important part of the series, to protect home court and then put the pressure back on the other team. LB says Bridges does the same signs Ja does, LeBron as well, and a few other players, yet they don't get singled out. I've heard that comment before as well, and yeah, I agree. The other players do that, but I do think Ja gets more scrutiny because of the other things that he was reprimanded for as well. Your record does count against you. In the case of getting suspended earlier in the season by 25 games. I don't see LeBron James and I don't see Mikal Bridges getting suspended for 25 games. Because they didn't flash a gun on Instagram. I don't think if Ja didn't do the gun thing on Instagram, like if that never happened, I don't think the celebrations would be a story. Paula says, yeah, the press would be all over the Knicks if our players was doing that. The press is all over our players if they slap a laptop. Could you imagine? Julius got heat for slapping a dude's laptop. Now there's cameras everywhere, and it's tough. You have to conduct yourself. Look, even a guy like Russell Westbrook, who I really respect, he's been a legend. He's going to be Hall of Famer. He's been in the league for so long now. Even a guy like Russell Westbrook, who makes it about him a lot, yes, he might deal with some bad, some uncalled for remarks from the sidelines and the fans, but every single time he stops and he goes back and forth with the fans. When he's leaving the arena, stuff like that creates a headline. I'm sure the Knicks have had, God only knows how many DMs Josh Hart's had. That's probably been trashing his name, trashing his family, probably trashing his girl, and all of that. But he deals with that, man. And Hart carries himself perfectly, man. He has a sense of humor. He brushes it off. He goes to bat for Mikal Bridges in the locker room whenever he has to. He goes to bat for Tibbs. These are the kind of strong characters you need. When shit hits the fan, and we're late night edition, so basically you need guys to man up and really step up and handle their business, because things can get testy. Another cool dude like Mitch. Mitch been dealing with trade rumors since he was born, man. He'd been dealing with guys, get him out of here. He's injury prone. Get this dude off the team and all of this. Every time he goes on Instagram, he just, he has a sense of humor about it. And that speaks to all the good characters we got. I think guys like Scott Perry deserve a lot of credit, because Scott Perry did bring a lot of professionalism to the Knicks front office and the Knicks organization before that Leon Rose came on board. He drafted correctly. He got good characters. R.J. Barrett. He got Mitchell Robinson. They got Deuce McBride. They got good character guys where, you can evaluate games and all of that. Well, look at Miles Bridges and the stuff that he had off the court. A lot of other dudes. I'm not going to, get on, dudes too much, but the positive thing is we haven't had too many dudes in the negative press. And you could say we are in the most dangerous market where you could slip up. Even Porzingis had that little slip up or major slip up or whatever it is. I don't know the finer details about it, but young player in New York City, things could go wrong, man, if you don't have the right people. But as an organization, we've turned the corner massively. We've got good mentors. We've got, assistant coaches that are fathers and, fathers of the players and guys that are going to look out for each other. Even had Tibbs and Hart, chew each other out on the sideline. But then the very next day, there's nothing to it. The next day, there's nothing to it. We've got legends, Hall of Famers on the sidelines that can mentor players as well. We've got Patrick Ewing, Carmelo Anthony, Walt Clyde Frazier, what's his name? BK, Bernard King, Stephon Marbury, Latrell Sprewell, Larry Johnson, still with the organization as well. Got guys still out here looking after each other. Dick Barnett is still, when he was healthy, he could still make it to games. Players see all of that. They see all this connection. That's something that Memphis, Oklahoma, and that those organizations don't have right now. They don't have that long history. Memphis front office been cooked since they fired their head coach without throwing their style player. I think ownership, things can go south at the very top, definitely. I think with the ownership, fortunately Dolan stepped out of the way, made some mistakes earlier. He even admitted to the mistakes, on many occasions, and he learned from it. right? He tried to hire Phil Jackson and get out of the way. Unfortunately, it was the wrong hire, but the premise was correct. He got out of the way, but it was so bad that he just had to fire Phil Jackson. But then he stuck true to his word and he brought in Leon Rose and he stayed out the way, and he let the proper, front office run the show with that situation. So, yeah, top to bottom, man, 50-win seasons back to back. On that note, man, we get ready for Boston on Tuesday. I look forward to it, and hopefully we can get one above last season's finish. Of course we will. We'll get one more win at least out of these next 4 games. But things have been clicking recently. Now we're at full strength. There's no excuses. It's money time. The streets are buzzing. Ladies and gentlemen, Tibbs making some cuts. Precious Achiuwa out of the rotation tonight. Let's see how it plays out. No DeLon Wright. Guys got to step up now, or there's competition coming. But OG Anunoby has been a flamethrower. We need to continue to get him in rhythm and get him the rock right now. I'm loving what I'm seeing from him, and the ball movement. 28 assists tonight was key. We just have to cut back on the turnovers. Another night, 14 turnovers. Would love that to be half, man. We can rock with 7 turnovers in the playoffs. We give ourselves an excellent chance to win every game. Even if we keep the turnovers under 10, I would sign up for that. If we could keep those turnovers under 10. But I think with the extra ball movement, you are going to get some of those more turnovers, fam. So, yeah, we are still missing Huck Porty. Appreciate you for reminding me. Rookie season. Let's hope that he can maybe come back and be available for a deeper playoff run. If not, I think next season is going to be a big one for a lot of our rookies this season. Blessing up yours truly, fam, Paula. And yeah, everyone send their prayers, thoughts over to Michael Drake, his family as well for his loss. And obviously, man, we got your back. And let's go Knicks. Keep the spirits up. And obviously, man, it's playoff time now. And we stick together. And the New York Knicks are going to go to battle, man. I think it's going to be against Detroit. And they are trying to forge a new identity as a new bad boys Pistons team. And they're going to try to make an example out of us, the New York Knicks. Right? And we're going to be up for the challenge. Let's get it. And we've got some games to really get us into playoff mode. Boston, Detroit, Cleveland, and then we finish the season, how fittingly, with the New Jersey Nets. Fam, we did that transaction on the eve of the season with Mikal Bridges. They're headed to the lottery, or they're headed to the draft with a pick in the late 20s from the New York Knicks. And they're missing out on the playoff action right now in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn Nets, New York Knicks final game of the season, man. I would love us to play the rookies, Let's see how that game plays out. But definitely someone's going to be rested in that Boston-Cleveland game. And I think definitely the Detroit game, there will be some gamesmanship play out in this one. But the story, OG Anunoby, the captain, is back. The skies are orange and blue right now. 50 wins, 28 losses. Can we make it 54? We'll find out, man, on the next episode when the streets are buzzing. Peace, everyone.